For many people, the SAT is the first time they have to actively think about how to use the dash punctuation mark, which is also sometimes called the M dash, because it's about as wide as the letter M. Luckily, like other advanced punctuation marks, the dash has a narrow set of rules, so there isn't much that we have to learn. First, remember the overall strategy for SAT grammar questions is to predict the rule by looking at the answer choices before reading the passage. Our first priority is always to check the strong punctuation marks that can be used to join or separate two complete sentences: the period, semicolon, colon, and comma plus conjunction. The dash lives in step 2 of our process. In other words, once you've eliminated the choices involving the strong punctuation marks, you can then check to see if the dash is correct. Beyond the big picture strategy, there are 2 rules that we need to memorize for dashes, and each has its own task that we can perform to test if the dash is correct. If there's a single dash in a sentence, it's going to behave like a colon. If there's a double dash or a pair of dashes, then they behave like parentheses around an extra clause. Let's start with the double dash, since it's probably the easier of the 2 rules to understand. In English, we use 2 dashes to insert an extra clause or interruption into a sentence, similar to a pair of commas or parentheses. When we see a double dash opportunity on the SAT, our task is to read the sentence without the extra dash clause. If it sounds like a complete sentence, then the double dash is probably correct. In this example, choice A would create a double dash, so we can try it first. We'll read everything except the words between the 2 dashes. The enzyme's activity can therefore regulate pathways that standard metabolic models fail to predict. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, so we have proof that choice A is correct. The words between the dashes, which assume a constant intracellular pH, are just extra information that isn't necessary to the structure of the sentence. To be clear, we could have also used 2 commas or a pair of parentheses to separate that extra clause from the yellow sentence, like in choices B and D. But we need to start the interruption the same way we end it, and the SAT is going to make one of those choices for you, so you'll often be matching one end of the interruption to the other end. In this case, the SAT decided to end with a dash, so we had no choice but to start with one as well. Let's try another example. In this case, we might start with choice A again, since we already see another dash in the sentence and want to know if a double dash would work. Once again, read everything but the words that would be between the 2 dashes. The blue whale has a heart mass of a size comparable to that of a small motorcycle. That sentence sounds very strange. We might say the blue whale has a heart mass comparable to that of a small motorcycle, but the of a size part doesn't make sense here. This is a clue that we're forcing the double dash. A single dash makes much more sense here. We use a single dash to separate a sentence from an extra clause or full sentence, like a colon. Since there's a dash already in the passage, choice D would let us test the single dash in the easiest way. Our task when checking a single dash is the same as when we're checking a colon. The most important piece is that we need to have a complete independent clause before the dash. The blue whale has a heart mass of roughly 180 kilograms. Yeah, that sounds much better. And the part after the dash is just an extra clause that provides more information about an idea in the previous sentence. A colon works the same way. We must have a sentence before the colon, but we can have either an extra clause or another complete sentence after the colon. It's flexible. I've heard other tutors say that you should always pick the double dash when the SAT gives you the choice, but this is absolutely incorrect, as we just saw. In fact, even assuming that the double dash is more likely to be correct is dangerous, because you might overlook other rules in the question. In this example, we might assume that choice A is correct to start because we really want there to be a double dash. We can test the double dash by reading everything around it. One of Massachusetts' most visited attractions is Plymouth Patuxent. Using archaeological findings and first-hand accounts, curators and costume interpreters work together to give visitors an immersive understanding of the region's earliest settlements. How does that sound? It's long, but it sounds like decent English to me. But it's incorrect. When we're focused on checking the double dash, it's hard to hear that there's a pretty significant problem with choice A. My highlighting for this passage should be much more complicated. The first part in yellow is definitely a sentence. One of Massachusetts' most visited attractions is Plymouth Patuxent. The dash allows us to add on an extra definition of Plymouth Patuxent, a living history site recreating 17th century colonial life. Now in red, we have another extra clause, using archaeological findings and first-hand accounts, but that leads into a second independent sentence, now in green. Curators and costumed interpreters work together to give visitors an immersive understanding of the region's earliest settlements. SAT grammar has very specific rules about how we join two complete sentences, and the double dash is not one of them. This question is actually using a single dash to distract us from the main rule. We should have started this question by testing choice D, since the semicolon is a priority 1 punctuation mark, and the dash is priority 2. If we had started with D, we would have been looking for complete sentences from the start. Hopefully, we'd noticed the yellow sentence before the semicolon and the green sentence after the semicolon. That would prove the semicolon correct without us even needing to look at choice A. This is a real trap that you need to be looking out for on the real SAT. They know that we know about the double dash, so they create questions that distract us with dashes, even when the question is actually about something completely different. If we stick to our predict the rules strategy, this trap shouldn't really be a problem. We should only check choices with dashes after we've eliminated the higher priority punctuation marks. And sometimes, like in the last example, we won't need to check the dash choice at all because we'll be forced to pick another punctuation mark first. But even when dashes aren't in the answer choices, understanding how they work can still be helpful for understanding the structure of the sentences that we're given. Remember that a single dash is essentially the same as a colon, with a complete sentence before the dash and either another complete sentence or an extra clause after the dash. The double dash will always mark off an extra clause, so we can often ignore the words between the double dashes to make sentences shorter and easier to read. I hope you now feel more confident working with dashes on the SAT. Make sure that you check out the Settele Tutoring channel for more punctuation lessons and other grammar rules. Thanks for watching!